Advisory. Some episodes of the 1836 podcast are not intended for all audiences due to details that might be considered disturbing. Listener and viewer discretion is advised.
This episode of the 1836 podcast shares about the life of the hatchet granny Carrie Nation. Carrie Amelia Moore was born on November 25, 1846, in Garrard County, Kentucky, to George and Mary Campbell Moore. Her father, an Irish-descended plantation owner, managed the complexities of a slaveholding society, while her mother battled severe mental illness, often enveloped in delusions of royal lineage. This turbulent home environment profoundly influenced Carrie's early life, confronting her with challenges like poverty and health issues that would forge her resilience. Carrie developed a deep bond with Aunt Eliza, a family slave, highlighting the intricate racial dynamics of her childhood. This relationship, amidst the backdrop of servitude, revealed the complex human connections that characterized her formative years. Seeking escape from political unrest and the looming Civil War, the Moore family moved to Missouri in 1854. There, Carrie assumed the role of caregiver, tending to soldiers after a violent raid in Independence, Missouri. These experiences exposed her to life's cruelties, fostering within her a growing sense of empathy and purpose. At the age of 21, Carrie married Dr. Charles Gloyd on November 21, 1867. However, her hopes for marital bliss were dashed by Gloyd's alcoholism, leading to chaos and his death in 1869. Left a widow with a young daughter, Charlian, Carrie faced harsh realities. In an effort to secure their future, she sold her father's land and her late husband's possessions, which enabled her to build a small home in Holden, Missouri. During this time, she obtained a teaching certificate and committed herself to education. In 1877, Carrie married David Nation, a widower and journalist. Their marriage was strained by religious and ideological differences, along with David's opposition to Carrie's charitable work, leading to frequent moves between Texas and Kansas. Their relationship ultimately collapsed in 1901. Despite personal turmoil, Carrie discovered her calling. Driven by deep religious conviction and a burgeoning sense of purpose, she became increasingly active in social reform and charity. These early challenges laid the foundation for her later activism in the temperance movement, where she would become known for her dramatic and confrontational methods against alcohol-serving establishments. Through these trials, Carrie Nation began to shape the identity that would echo through history as a voice for the disenfranchised and a catalyst for change in an unjust world. Carrie Nation's relentless crusade for temperance began on June 7, 1900, in Kiowa, Kansas, when she launched a dramatic assault on illegal saloons, wielding bricks, stones, and eventually her iconic hatchet. This bold act, rooted in the personal grief from her first husband's alcoholism, signified the start of her fierce and often violent campaign against the liquor trade. With each swing of her hatchet, she established her reputation, gaining notoriety for her hatchetations, where she destroyed whiskey barrels, shattered glassware, and splintered mirrors. The press quickly dubbed her Hatchet Granny, a moniker that highlighted both her intense resolve and the contentious views about her methods. The raid in Kiowa was not just an isolated event, but sparked a nationwide series of high-profile attacks on saloons. On December 27, 1900, Nation was arrested in Wichita, Kansas, after vandalizing a saloon, where she notably destroyed a nude painting and a mirror. Each dramatic incident fueled media coverage, depicting her as both a heroic figure in the temperance movement and a dangerous fanatic. Public opinion regarding her tactics was deeply divided. To some, she was the embodiment of justice, while others criticized her as an extremist, viewing her actions as disruptive and dangerously violent. Undeterred by numerous arrests, Nation's passion for activism only intensified. She funded her crusades through lecture fees and by selling souvenir hatchets, each symbolizing her cause. In 1903, she symbolically changed her name from Carrie to Carrie, a testament to her commitment to the temperance movement. Beyond her saloon-smashing efforts, Nation broadened her activism into public speaking, promoting women's suffrage and tackling social issues like prison reform and shelters for women and children. Carrie Nation's activism was part of a long-standing tradition of women fighting against the destructive impact of alcohol. By 1908, Nation announced a strategic shift, declaring her intent to use the Bible as her main tool for reform, moving away from her well-known hatchet. Yet, her mission evolved into a broader push for social reforms, especially her unwavering support for women's suffrage. From 1908 to 1909, Nation carried her message across the Atlantic, touring the United Kingdom. There, her charismatic personality and sharp wit contrasted sharply with the violent image portrayed by the American press. She won over audiences who appreciated her determination and humor, undermining the negative stereotypes that labeled her as mentally unstable. As she grew older, Carrie eventually retreated to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It was there she established Hatchet Hall, a refuge and home for women impacted by alcoholism. This modest structure served as both a boarding house and a school, reflecting her lifelong dedication to activism and philanthropy. Despite its simple appearance, Hatchet Hall became a lively center for her charitable initiatives, epitomizing her unyielding commitment to social reform. As her health began to decline, she gave her final moving speech on January 13, 1911, proclaiming the powerful words, "I have done what I could." Shortly after, she collapsed and was rushed to Evergreen Place Hospital in Kansas, where she passed away from paresis on June 9, 1911, at the age of 64. Her death signified the end of a life filled with fervent activism and personal challenges. Her legacy endures through various commemorative efforts, including a highway historical marker, a dedicated fountain, a bronze statue, her former residences listed on the National Register of Historic Places, the enduring Hatchet Hall in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and ironically, even a microbrewery. Carrie Nation's contentious tactics such as saloon-smashing divided public opinion but undeniably heightened awareness for temperance. Driven by her religious conviction, her activism was both visionary and purposeful. While some dismiss her as a lunatic, others celebrate her as a pioneer of social reform. Her compassion was evident when she opted for dialogue instead of destruction after discovering her grandson in a bar, showcasing her belief that drinkers were victims of circumstance. Although Nation did not live to see the ratification of Prohibition in 1919, her relentless efforts and influence were instrumental in paving the way for both the 18th and 19th Amendments, which respectively prohibited alcohol and granted women the right to vote. Carrie Nation's legacy in temperance and social justice remains a significant chapter in American history, underscoring her dedication to societal change.